Do we value the Mass enough? Do we value our access to the sacraments enough? After 2020, you'd think that would be an easy question to answer. After all, most of us were deprived of the sacraments for a few weeks at least, and in many cases, a few months. And the church suffered for it, because after people were allowed by our gracious rulers, being sarcastic there, of course, but after people were permitted to have the sacraments again, the Mass attendance numbers were the lowest they'd probably ever been in any of our lifetimes, and they've only kind of recovered. Only kind of. They're not near where they were beforehand, and where they were before was nothing to brag about either. So the question remains, do we as Catholics value the Mass as we should? Here's Padre Pio, showing you how highly he valued offering the holy sacrifice of the Mass. This is from a personal letter to his spiritual director. For a number of days I have begun to hope that Jesus does not want to deprive me of this one comfort that remains to me. Here, another 10 days have gone past. May the divine will be done. I hope that all will end well. I am extremely distressed for the single reason that I cannot celebrate the Mass, because there is no chapel here, and we are not allowed to leave. I am desolate. May it please God to bring me quickly out of this dark prison to the military clinic. I won't speak to you about my physical state. It isn't the subject of our discussion, and I don't really worry about it at all, and I also want it to be this way for you. I will only tell you that Jesus leaves me the comfort of celebrating Mass every day. But if he wishes to deprive me of this also, fiat. That awful beast is convinced that he cannot have that soul for himself, and so, unfortunately, not being able to have it anymore, he strives wholeheartedly to have a lesser thing, to prevent it reaching a greater perfection. What concerns me is that it would have need of a director who is well enlightened in the ways of God. But where can you find such a one in these dreadful times? Even the most faithful Jesus lamented about this. Oh, in what sorrowful times have we come to know each other? Yet again the Son of God raises the bitter lament from his divine heart. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Hear, my Father, the just complaint of our sweet Jesus. I remain alone in the churches, by day and by night. They do not bother with the sacrament of the altar any more. And even those who do speak of it, alas, with what indifference and coldness they speak. My heart says Jesus has been forgotten. No one is concerned with my love any more. I am continually saddened. My house has become a place of entertainment. This is so even for my ministers, whom I have always regarded with favor, whom I have loved like the apple of my eye. These should comfort my heart filled with bitterness and help me to redeem souls. But who would believe it? That from them I should receive ingratitude and a refusal to acknowledge me. I see, my son, many of them who... Here he grew quiet. The sobs caught in his throat, and he wept in secret. Under hypocritical appearances, betray me with sacrilegious communions, treading underfoot the light and strength that I continually give them. Jesus continued to complain. My Father, how bad it makes me feel to see Jesus weep. Have you experienced it yet? On Friday morning, I was still in bed when Jesus appeared to me. He was all melancholy and disfigured. He showed me a great multitude of regular and secular priests, among whom were several different ecclesiastical dignitaries. Some were celebrating Mass, some were vesting, and others were taking their sacred vestments off. The face of Jesus in distress pained me greatly, and so I asked him why he was suffering so much, but I got no reply. However, his gaze went back to those priests. Shortly after, almost horrified and as if it were looking tired, he turned his eyes away and lifted it toward me. To my great horror, I noticed that 2 tears were running down his cheek. He moved away from the mob of priests and looked greatly sickened. He cried out, "Butchers!" He turned to me and said, "My son, do not believe that my agony lasted only 3 hours. No, I will be in agony until the end of the world because of the very souls that have benefited most from me. During the time of my agony, my son, you must not sleep. My soul searches around for a drop or two of human compassion, but alas, they leave me alone under the burden of indifference. Ingratitude and the greatest of my ministers render my agony terrible indeed. Alas, how badly they respond to my love. What distresses me even more is when some add scorn or unbelief to indifference. How many times was I about to strike them down, but was held back by the guardian angels and those souls that love me? Write to your father and tell him what you have seen and heard from me this morning. Tell him to show your letter to Father Provincial. Jesus went on, but I cannot reveal what he said to any creature in this world. This apparition caused such pain in my body, and even greater pain in my soul. For that entire day I was prostrate, and I believed I would have died if the sweet Jesus had not already revealed to me. Jesus has good reason, unfortunately, to complain of our ingratitude. Harsh words for his own ministers. How much more are we, as lay people, worthy of them? Our minds wander during Mass. If you are in a parish with a cry room and you are stuck in that cry room because you have small children, perhaps the decorum in that cry room collapses and falls apart. How much worse are we than those priests that caused our Lord such pain? Padre Pio's message here is clearly not only for the priests. This is a warning to everybody. Remember before whom you kneel at the Mass. Remember before whom you stand. And remember whom you are going to receive. And also remember to make sure that you are in a worthy state to receive him. St. Paul warns us very clearly that we eat and drink our own condemnation if we are not properly disposed to receive him. And sure, maybe there can be honest mistakes of discernment. But mortal sins should be easy to diagnose in our own lives. Should be. And you protect yourself against an honest mistake of discernment by going to confession on a regular basis and learning what the Church has to say about certain sins of the flesh and other sins that the world seems to have embraced and be very fine and popular with. We are not to live as the world lives. We are Catholics, and we should live like Catholics. Take Padre Pio's warning here, which comes from our Lord. Take it seriously. Think on it in your heart during Mass today, or if you're hearing this after Mass, throughout your Sunday. But let me know what you think of this in the comments, please. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help. Sharing this on social media helps a lot too. As always, pray for the Church. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.